The year is 1200 before Christ. Imagine a world connected by trade, technology, and diplomacy. The great powers, the Hittites, Mycenaean Egypt, were thriving. They exchanged gold, weapons, and marriage proposals. They were sophisticated, powerful, and believed their world was eternal. Then, everything stopped. In a period shorter than a single lifetime, this entire system, spanning the Mediterranean and the Near East, vanished. Palaces were burned, trade routes dissolved, and the written word disappeared in many regions. This is the story of the Bronze Age collapse, the world's first global dark age and history's most compelling mystery. The Bronze Age world was incredibly fragile. Their wealth relied entirely on complex logistics, for bronze came from far away. Grain relied on stable climate, and diplomacy kept the peace. Before the collapse, the geopolitical order was maintained by the great kings, leaders who referred to each other as brother in cuneiform correspondence found at sites like Amar. This interconnectedness was its greatest strength, but ultimately, its fatal flaw. The first blow was climatic. Paleoclimate data suggests a severe prolonged drought began around 1250 before Christ. Rivers dried up, crop yields failed across the Mediterranean, starving the densely populated urban centers. We know this due to analysis of pollen and ocean sediments showing a rapid shift in temperature and rainfall across the Near East. Specifically, the decline of the cedar forests in the Levant, crucial for shipbuilding, further strangled trade and mobility. Famine inevitably led to internal instability. As food became scarce, the poor rebelled against the ruling elites who controlled the granaries. We see evidence of this in the sudden, unexplained destruction of palaces throughout Mycenaean Greece, often burned from the inside out, suggesting uprisings before any external invasion. The mighty citadel of Mycenae itself fell around 1200 BC, followed by Tyrants and Pylos. At Pylos, archaeologists discovered clay tablets that were still baking in the fire that destroyed the palace. These tablets contained no records of attack, only frantic preparations for religious sacrifice, suggesting they were caught entirely by surprise. But the most famous and terrifying factor was the arrival of the Sea People. They appear abruptly in Egyptian records as relentless, seafaring invaders attacking Cyprus, the Levant, and the shores of the Nile Delta. We don't know who they were. Maybe refugees, pirates, or displaced armies. Scholars hypothesize they were composed of various groups, possibly including the Shardana and Peliset, who some link to the later Philistine. What we do know is their devastating effect. Texts from Ugarit, a key coastal trading city, show a king desperately pleading for help. One clay tablet, often called the last letter, includes a desperate message. The city is burned, your troops are gone, and we are abandoned. The city was destroyed shortly after 1190 BC. The level of destruction at Ugarit shows a non-local fire that left no survivors, a clear testament to the invaders' ferocity. Pharaoh Ramses III recorded a massive, desperate battle against them around 1177 BC at the Battle of the Delta. He claimed victory, but his records also indicate that the invaders had already devastated the entire Near East. No land could stand before their arms. The inscription at Medinet Habu is the primary historical source describing the destructive path of the Sea Peoples. The cost of this victory, however, severely weakened Egypt, forcing it into a long period of internal decline and loss of foreign territories. The Hittite Empire, a power that rivaled Egypt, simply ceased to exist. Their capital, Hattusa, was abandoned and never reoccupied after its destruction. We have correspondence from the last known Hittite king, Sapeluli-Amatut, detailing frantic efforts to send grain to relieve famine in his coastal provinces, a clear sign the empire was buckling under internal and external pressure simultaneously. The collapse of the Hittites was particularly severe because their advanced knowledge of ironworking disappeared with them, momentarily stalling technological advancement in the region. Mycenaean civilization collapsed into scattered, smaller villages, entering the Greek Dark Ages. Iron replaced bronze, not because it was better, but because tin became impossible to source, crippling the Bronze Age. The sophisticated administration that required writing disappeared. Literacy plummeted. The world became simpler, poorer, and disconnected. This loss of record-keeping is precisely why the subsequent period is called the Dark Age. But this collapse wasn't truly an end. It was a harsh reset. The decentralization allowed new ideas to take root. The Phoenician alphabet emerged. Small, resilient communities developed the ideas that would eventually become the city-states of classical Greece. The collapse of 1200 BC is a brutal lesson in complexity. When systems become too interconnected and rely on perfect conditions, a single point of failure can bring down the entire structure. The history of civilization is not just about building empires, but understanding how and why they fall. If you found this collapse as fascinating as we did, smash that like button. Subscribe for more deep historical dives, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter.